The ruling on page 416, or rather the order on page 416 and 15 of volume 2. volume 2, the Assembly's document.
416?
Yes. Are you there?
I'm there.
Who are the petitioners or the claimants?
The petitioners are Joseph Beria, Paul Mwaki Arimi, Dr. John Toiti, Kenneth Kimadi Mbaye.
And which one are you among those ones?
I'm Paul Mwaki Arimi.
Thank you. I will then take you to still that order that is on page 416, where on that order does it talk about salaries? Does it talk about payment of your salary?
It doesn't talk about salaries, Mr. Speaker.
So the order that came out on, or that is dated 7th October 2022 does not talk about salaries?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And let's go to the contempt of court ruling and order that is now coming in a year later. Let us go straight to the order. And that is on
page 440.
Yes, page 440. This order is coming in respect, this contempt of court order is coming in respect of which previous order?
It's coming in respect to the order of 7th October of 2022.
That is at paragraph 4. Thank you. The order on page 440. You're still there.
Yes.
At paragraph 5. Can you read the first line?
That the respondent be cited for contempt of court and be committed to a civil jail for a term of 6 months until they purge the contempt and comply with the orders of this honorable court issued on the 7th of October, the year 2022.
Can you confirm that it refers to the respondents, plural?
Yes, I do.
And who are the respondents on that order, as you can see it?
County Secretary, County Government of Meru, Meru County Public Service Board, and the Governor, County Government of Meru.
So you confirm that there is a conviction against the Governor, County Government of Meru, based on that order?
I do.
I will again take you to the ruling, page 437 of volume 2.
Yes, I'm there.
437 of volume 2.
Yes, please.
At the bottom, the sentence that is starting with however. Can you please read and then read on the next page?
However, before passing sentence against the respondents are invited to attend this court through the County Secretary, Mr. Rufus Miriti, or his successor in title, to show cause why the court should not punish them for disobeying the court orders issued on 7th of October 2022.
So it is your testimony that the respondents are invited through the County Secretary, or rather the County Secretary is invited on behalf of all the respondents?
Yes, I confirm that.
And on paragraph 37, subparagraph A, that is on page 438 still.
Yes.
Does it say, what does it say, paragraph A, just the first sentence?
That the respondents are hereby cited for contempt of this court. This court's orders issued on 7th October 2022 by failing to allow the applicants back to their offices.
Thank you. So you will confirm that these orders issued by the court through and through refers to all the respondents in that application for contempt of court?
Yes, I confirm.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is my example.
Now, honorable senators, you have an opportunity to seek for clarification either from the witness or the counsel for the witness. That is the counsel for the county assembly. Or you may ask questions to the witness. Senator Sigei.
Thank you, Mr.
Your
Speaker.
questions should be direct to the point. Don't
Yes,
give
yes, it
speeches.
is. I want to seek clarification from Mr. Witness or his counsel with regards to the establishment of the entity called Meru Alcoholic Control Board with regards to two things. One, paragraph 1 of your affidavit make reference to a semi-autonomous entity, and the allegation make reference to non-reference to the board. I'd like to know whether the board is a statutory organ or it is what you have referred to as a semi-autonomous entity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The board is established through a County Assembly Act of 2014. So in that case, we can say it is backed by law.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the witness in relation to page, just the court order just refers to, in page number, the court order relating to, by Justice Jage. I want to ask, there are quite a number of parties. There are 4 parties and 3 parties ending with the county governor. Was this court order specifically ordered against the governor of Meru, or it was ordered for all the parties appearing there, including the county secretary?
It was ordered for all of them.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, Rule 23 of the third schedule of our standing orders allows me to ask questions to the counsel. So this is not to the witness, Mr. Speaker. It's just a clarification. Mr. Speaker, Counsel Thiankolu gave an allegory where he talked about the monarch of Russia, and he said that Nicholas I, before he passed the execution, he asked the person who was bringing the order whether the convicted person said anything. Mr. Speaker, he seemed to suggest, and I want a clarification from him, because that fellow said that in Russia, it seems that they can't do even the ropes properly, suggesting that they can't do anything properly. And then he juxtaposed that allegory to the trial that was conducted by the Senate here. Mr. Speaker, I was listening carefully. I want him to clarify, did he mean that the Senate was behaving like Russia? It couldn't do a proper job. It couldn't do a rope. Mr. Speaker, can he clarify? Because we didn't take it very kindly.
Counsel.
Mr. Speaker, what I meant in that allegory was that Kondraty Raila, having miraculously escaped execution, would have saved his life by stopping the very act that had condemned him to death in the first place, which was subversive utterances against the monarch. And what I meant is that the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, having survived the first impeachment, which was based on specified allegations would have been expected to refrain from the acts and omissions that triggered that impeachment motion, which she hadn't. Number two, it would have been expected Kawira Mwangaza, as part of the vilification, would not have gone berating this house itself, and when we get there, we'll be playing a video for you. When Kawira asked, after they took me to the Senate, what happened to me? Nothing happened. Kaende. And therefore, that's why we said, this time, we urge you to repeat the execution of Kawira, and we see whether the rope will break again.
Well, I hope that explanation is adequate to the issue raised by Mungatana. Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, I want to direct my question at Counsel for the Assembly, who unfortunately is my former classmate, but I want to understand the propriety of basing an impeachment proceeding on a matter that you have confirmed yourselves is still live in court. We here in the Senate are prevented from discussing matters that are live before the courts before a decision is made. What is the propriety of you basing a claim of, breach of the law or misconduct on a matter that is still live before a court of law that was coming for a decision today?
Counsel.
The answer is as follows, Mr. Speaker. The question of contempt of court is not pending in court. We have a conviction before you. We have an order before you. We have a sentencing before you. That order, as we speak, has not been set aside by a higher court. As a matter of fact, the room for challenging that order in a higher court expired a long time ago because you have only 14 days to appeal. That's the first answer, Mr. Speaker. The second answer, which is very specific to this process before you, is that the governor went to court when this motion before you was labeled. She went before the High Court in Meru in petition number 24. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I don't seem to recall the number. It's not 24, but she went to court in Meru before the Honorable Justice Cherere to stop this process on that very ground that it was sub judice. The court refused. She returned to the court again. The court refused. She went to the Court of Appeal at Nyeri, trying to stop the process before you, claiming that impeachment cannot be based on matters that are before court. And again, the Court of Appeal refused. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, when we were in the Court of Appeal, one of the questions we asked is how can a convictee whose conviction has not been set aside, who has been disobeying a court order for a year, be the one now telling you every weather about court orders?
Senator Chute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question will go to the witness. Mr. Witness, will I be wrong if I tell you you belong to committee maximum because you've admitted before this honorable house that you've been receiving money for months and months illegally, and you've accepted before this house that you've been receiving it illegally? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You would not be telling the truth, Mr. Speaker, because we have made numerous efforts to be allowed back to office and serve, even through the court, but you are not allowed. The person culpable is the one paying us for service not rendered.
Senator Osotsi.
This is to the witness, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the application for this case and even the ruling, the governor is listed as respondent number 3. That is after the county secretary and the Meru County Public Service Board. Is this an admission that the governor is not directly involved in matters of HR, recruitment, and appointment?
It's not an admission.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to ask the same question but phrased differently. Mr. Paul Mwaniki Arimi is appearing as a key witness on behalf of the County Assembly. And he is here to give witness on what he found extremely wrong of receiving salary for work not done. And he has admitted that as being wrong. Now, if your convictions are true, shouldn't it have bothered you enough for you to have considered refunding or refusing the acceptance? And accepting the money for this long and appearing as a witness to admit that before this, why didn't you, consider not accepting if you considered it was wrong? Thank you.
Thank you. It is wrong legally to receive pay for service not rendered or work not done. What we did as victims of this is we have sought legal redress for a full year from last year up to now, seeking to be allowed to get back and work. Yet still, we have not been terminated from work. What you have been given is a mandatory indefinite leave without any reason. So there would be no issue of refunding monies without any clear structures of how this one should be done. So we have been in court, struggling to be allowed to work. The person culpable is this one sending us on a compulsory indefinite leave with even a reminder that you will be paid all the services you are home. Indeed, it is depressing.
Just to be clear, witness, this is the question that I help you out. You've indicated that you have received, you've been receiving these salaries.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Question from the Senator.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And you've indicated that you ought not to have received this money because it is taxpayers' money.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
So the question that the Senator posed then is, did you make an effort
we made
either
efforts
to
through the
refuse
court
or to refund?
We did not make efforts to refund, but we made efforts to get back to work.
Very well. Senator Okoiti.
My question goes to Mr. Speaker, sir. My question goes to Counsel for the County Assembly. On trial is the governor of Meru, and one of the grounds is contempt of court. In the evidence that you have laid before this court, are you able to point out to me specifically where the governor is condemned? Specifically where the governor is condemned?
Counsel,
or convicted of that contempt?
And it is not necessary that she be specifically mentioned when they have been found jointly and severally, that's the legal language, jointly and severally culpable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, mine is a very quick clarification or guidance from the Council of the Governor. When you look under Article 183, functions of the county executive, which encompasses county governor, county deputy governor, and CECs, I invite him to give me an interpretation of Article 183 in the interest of time, Part C. It says, and allow me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to read, a county executive committee shall, 1, Part C, manage and coordinate the functions of the county administration and its departments. So I want to get clarification and maybe guidance from the council of on the part of the interpretation on the role of the county executive or county committee member. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Council, did you get that correctly? Did you get the question with clarity?
Sadly, Mr. Speaker, I didn't get the question with clarity. I wondered if the Honorable Senator could clarify the particular aspect of Article 183 that he desires my clarification on. I'll gladly do that.
Senator Chirange, the clarification must relate.
On the role of county executive is a base because in a cross-examination he had indicated that the county secretary is the one being impeached in terms of the government. So I'm inviting him to clarify. Council.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Honorable Makilap.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I actually rise to support the work of the committee chaired by Wanjiku Muya on the border points of this country. Madam Speaker, the northern corridor that stretches from the Indian Ocean all the way to Uganda, Southern Sudan, Ethiopia, and all our neighbors, Madam Speaker, has continued to become, for a long time, as the border points have become porous. They have become entry of illegal firearms. They have become entry of illegal sugar. They have become entry of all manner of smuggled goods to our country. And to promote that open trade so that people do not participate in actually illegal trade, there is need to secure those border points for free interaction of our people between Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, and even Uganda. Madam Speaker, even the firearms that has caused a lot of insecurity in the North Rift are actually as a result of porous borders that are not in control. It's not managed by the immigration people or the KRA. Madam Speaker, do you know in some parts of northern Kenya, there is a place where donkeys are actually more knowledgeable by transporting sugar from Somalia all the way to Kenya, and they know where they take. Those donkeys know where they take that kind of sugar. Madam Speaker, this is the only way we can redeem our image and actually raise revenues that have actually been lost for some time. Those revenues, Madam Speaker, will aid in programs, our budgets. We lose a lot of revenue along that porous border that could have been used to increase NGCDF funds, that could have been increased funds meant for education, and actually providing services to the people of Kenya. When we open the border points to become free trade areas where there is exchange of people, of goods and services, Madam Speaker, there will be many people who will be engaged in trade. There will be many people who will be engaged in business. And we shall have actually opened a part of Kenya that could have otherwise been left behind for many years. So, Madam Speaker, I support the work of the committee for international relationships between Kenya. Look at, for example, Madam Speaker, the Turkana and the Nyangatom of Ethiopia. You know, those are the same people. And for some time, that border around Kibish and that area of Southern Sudan has been a free area that has not been manned by Kenya government. So we need to control our border points to become one-stop shop for doing business along the boundaries of Kenya. Madam Speaker, this is the only way we can be able to actually secure our borders from infiltration of those firearms that have been coming to our country. We fix that, Madam Speaker, we shall have a country that is secure. We shall have a country that will be able to do business with their neighbors. We shall have people who will be able to engage in many other things, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we also need to look at the border points that are to the south, not only to the northern corridor. Because in some places, Madam Speaker, people just walk free to their neighbors and they come back without any order. In some other places like Kacheliba, Madam Speaker, you can get, there are people who are having dual citizenship. They come to Kenya, vote, and they go to Uganda, vote. Madam Speaker, to enhance democratic space between our neighbors and ensure there is proper elections done around those areas. Madam Speaker, those border points are very necessary. The checking of those border points will be very good to manage our internal affairs as a country so that we can have a business that will thrive and raise enough revenue for our country to transmit our programs. Madam Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Dagoretti South, the Honorable John Waweru Kiarie.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. And I stand to support this motion, which is a report on the inspection of the one-stop border posts in the northern corridor in this EAC. Madam Speaker, I'd like to start by thanking the committee. Madam Speaker, this is a committee that has received a shot in the arm with the new leadership of the Honorable Wanjiko Mohia. Madam Speaker, a seat is as good as the leader who is sitting on the seat. This is one of the committees that had been considered as one of the lower committees in previous houses, Madam Speaker. But with the new membership and the new leadership, this committee is actually rising to the plate and doing that which is required to do as formed by the standing orders in this house, Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, after supporting the committee, I'd like to say that the proposals that have been made by the committee in the report are proposals that this house must stand with, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the idea of demolishing the boundaries that divide the countries in this region is a mission that should be undertaken with new valor, Madam Speaker. We all understand that the borders that we talk about today are actually artificial borders that were put by the colonialists, Madam Speaker. The new effort in the region to break down these physical barriers is an effort that should be supported, Madam Speaker. And the destruction of these boundaries shall happen physically, but it also needs to be happening in our minds, Madam Speaker. The mental divisions that we have as members of the different member states must also be destroyed, Madam Speaker, because the mental barriers are actually barring the progress of the East African community, Madam Speaker, and that is why I support the report by this committee. Madam Speaker, the observation by the committee on the police roadblocks along the highway, Madam Speaker, is an issue that this parliament needs to take up seriously. Madam Speaker, why it needs to be taken up seriously is because we are creating human bottlenecks along a corridor that should be flowing in goods, in services, and even ideas, Madam Speaker. The archaic model of policing our roads using roadblocks, Madam Speaker, is well past its use date, Madam Speaker. In today's world, we are able to police traffic even using technology, Madam Speaker. If we were able to upgrade our policing to today's methods, Madam Speaker, there is available technology in the form of surveillance, in the form of cameras, in the
for the High Court in Meru, where the county secretary, according to the judgment and the county secretary, according to the judgment and according to the ruling, was found to be guilty of contempt, and the matter is still ongoing. The punishment has not been meted. Now, isn't that subjecting the governor to a double jeopardy? Because he is facing the proceedings before the court in Meru are still alive. And counsel for the governor said earlier that they were actually in court this morning. And here we are, you want us to impeach the governor based on the same set of facts. Isn't this a double jeopardy, which in law is not allowed? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, that's a legal question. I heard it was addressed to both me and the witness. I don't know whether the witness is able to answer.
Proceed. He belongs to your side. You can answer for him.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, it is not correct to say that the question of whether the governor is guilty of contempt is in court. What is in court is the question of sentencing. The question of liability is settled. The only other thing that is in court is the question of purging the contempt. So there is no question of double jeopardy. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, the rule of double jeopardy does not apply to proceedings of impeachment. There are several rulings by the Supreme Court itself that says, and I can quote the Sonko case, the Martin Nyaga-Wambora case, that say impeachment is not about civil or criminal liability. It is about political accountability. It is about ethics. It is about the type of leadership, the type of persons we want holding certain offices. And that is why you find the Article 181 is about may be removed on any of the following, and it talks of gross misconduct. Gross misconduct need not even be a criminal or civil offense. It can be anything that attracts serious moral censure. It talks of gross violation of the Constitution or other law. And in short, all we are saying, the Supreme Court has already answered this question of double jeopardy. And that is why even the Court of Appeal itself and the High Court in Meru, guided by the Supreme Court, refused to stop this Senate from sitting on these charges and making it whatever decision it will make, because the courts have already confirmed it is not about legalese and splitting legal heirs or civil or criminal liability. It's a question whether the governor accused of the things we are accusing her and which will prove is the type of governor we want to see holding a public office within the meaning of Chapter 6 of our Constitution. It is not a legal matter, Mr. Speaker. And I'm lastly told, if this can be let to happen, then all I need to always avoid impeachment, which is actually what the governor tried to do at the High Court and the Court of Appeal, why she failed. All I need to ensure as a governor, if this were an answer, to ensure Article 81 is dead, is to ensure whenever I commit a breach of the Constitution, there is a court case like happened in this matter, where proxies were obtained to file various suits in court so that they can come under the pretext. And even in your own standing orders, Mr. Speaker, as well as those of the County Assembly, you note the mere fact that a matter is in court does not stop the Senate or even the National Assembly. You can even take notice, Mr. Speaker, that as we speak, there has been a matter in Shakahola, which is in various courts, criminal courts, and I've seen committees of parliament examining the same persons who are facing not just employment courts here, but actually criminal courts, and nothing has stopped either the Senate or the National Assembly. And that is why even your standing orders give the Speaker the latitude to decide whether a matter that is in court should nonetheless be deliberated upon and a decision made by Parliament, in this case the Senate, as the representative of the public conscience.
Lastly, Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a clarification from the Council for the County Assembly of Meru. We have seen this judgment. Is it a ruling, the one that you are relying on the contempt proceedings? And 37C on page, I think you know where it is. 37C talks about the respondents not having the audience of the court until the contempt is purged. I think the witness has confirmed that he's now being paid. They have been reinstated, or did I get it wrong? I hope that's a correct position. Council, do you treat that as a purge to that contempt? Now that that is no longer, those offenses are no longer taking place and they have been reinstated, would you treat that as a purge? And I know that the sentencing is awaiting before the court. And if the sentencing is awaiting, would you still say the matter is not pending before court?
Mr. Speaker, them being denied audience is part of the standard rules that govern contempt of court. If you're convicted, like the governor has been, you're denied audience until you purge the contempt. The governor has, of course, attempted to purge this contempt as we speak. I use the word attempted because the witness told you the letters appointing his replacements have not